guys. How are you doing?
Really good, thank you.
Good, cheers, Ads. All good, mate.
So, both of you still at the club after hanging up your boots. Crofty, I'll start with you. How does it feel to be under 23 again?
Yeah, feel quite old for a 23-year-old, to be fair, Ads. But loving it. Obviously, third time back at the club. Really fortunate for the opportunity to come back. Club contacted me, and as soon as they did, easy decision to come back, albeit in a slightly different role, hanging up the first team boots, but still playing a little bit with the 23 boys and helping out on that side, but really looking to transition obviously into coaching and loving it.
Bruno, I think for years you told me as soon as you stopped playing, that would be it. You'd be out of this place, and now you seem to be here forever.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've always thought I would take a break and just spend time with family. But to be honest, the last couple of years, I've been really, really interested about coaching jobs and about learning, about being in the same environment, and I'm loving it. I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm really passionate, and it's been really interesting transition for myself, and yeah, just like enjoying it.
Crofty, you're involved with the under 23s, as we all know. How are you and the other coaching staff dealing with this, situation where there is no training, there is no football? And I understand it's the under 23 season basically isn't going to return now, is it?
Obviously, can't see that happening. Haven't been told, but I can't see that happening. Just trying to be proactive. Bruno will say we've probably been really, really busy, and that's fair play to the club trying to stay creative. We've been able to do things at home. Obviously, the Zoom call that we're on now. I think I've done about 1,000 meetings since the lockdown on Zoom, so I'm a master of that. But it's a real good way of connecting with all the staff, academy staff, players. 23s have been brilliant at participating with what we've put their way. The S&C support for their physical programs has been really good and creative, and been doing quizzes and stuff, and just trying to keep a real positive mindset. And everyone's obviously uncertain about timescales and stuff like that, but if you can keep them connections and maybe build even better relationship with the players, you get to know maybe a little bit more about their personal lives and get to know more as people. So I think we've tried to look at it from that point of view, but they've been great, albeit in a tough situation. But now we're trying to be proactive and creative, I'd say.
Bruno, obviously you're involved with the first team. We know that they're starting to train individually. How much are you involved with that process and what's going on as we kind of look towards potentially starting in maybe 6 weeks' time?
No, of course, I'm not involved in that process. I'm not any coach, because we avoid any contacts, and the players they've got their own schedule, and it's not any contact between them. And of course, they have to start running and getting the body moving. And I think they've been doing a lot, as Crofty said. We've been really proactive with that, trying to give them the right platform to maintain their physical levels, even it's really hard from home. But as well, at the same time, I think the mental side has been really important, and we've been trying to help them as much as possible. As you know, and as everyone knows, some of them, they got back to their own countries to leave a situation that we live in right now and leave it away from your family, it's difficult, because all you, like parents, grandparents, you worry about them, and if you're closer to them, it's always easier to go through. And to be honest, we've been trying to help the players in this uncertain times to get through the best way, and get back. As everyone knows, Premier League is looking to come back soon, and we will have to be ready.
So we know before this break happened, obviously we hadn't managed to find a win since the turn of the year. Came close a couple of times, a few draws. What do you think this break's done for the squad if the season does restart, do you think this break is a positive thing where you can work on the extra things and work out why we weren't getting the results, or is it more of a hindrance?
You don't know that. I mean, it's you never know if it's good or bad. You know, I mean, of course, no one wanted to stop. No one wants to leave a situation like we live in right now. But it gave us to the coaches the platform to analyze everything really, really deep. And because during the season it's so difficult because you are always in a hurry, because it's like next game. And of course we analyze every single game. For example, to analyze like just a simple like 90 minutes, normally coaches, it takes us 3-4 hours plus conversations between us, plus it's a long process. Then it's like plus doing the coaching sessions, plus it's like daily situations. Then now that we had that time to be at home and dealing with every single game, we have rewatched every single game, we have analyzed every single game, trying to find patterns, trying to find where we can improve. Then I think it's a good thing, because we've got that time to self-reflect and try to find improvements.
So it sounds like you've been very busy despite the fact there's no football.
No,
And Crofty, you mentioned that you've been quite busy as well, but particularly busy on the phone. So for the fans that don't know, you've been participating, haven't you, in the ring rounds?
Yeah, obviously spoke to a lot of elderly supporters, which I've really enjoyed. I think Bruno's done the same, along with the gaffer, chairman, Paul Barber, loads of players, and everyone's got right behind it. And spoke to a lot of them. Really enjoyed it. Some lovely people, and I've done a few interviews on it now. And I think it's that generation of people that I've got a real close connection with. My grandparents, bless them, they're not with us now, but I was really close with them. And I just think they're a special generation that we all look up to. And just to give them a call, have a couple of minutes. I say couple of minutes. I'm normally on the phone to them for about 20-30 minutes because they love a chat. But they're all keeping well, the ones that I've spoke to, and it just shows. I know a lot of people at the club have got behind it, and it just shows you what sort of connection we have with the community, and it's something that the club's really proud of. But I think I'll have some more friends at the end of lockdown. So hopefully, looking forward to at some point seeing them in person.
So we understand that the situation at the moment, there's a lot of sadness, obviously, people losing relatives and things. But from your point of view, can you tell me something like the one major positive that you've actually got out of this situation? Because there are some positives that have come out of this for some people.
Well, I think, as you said, it's really difficult to say positive because, as we know, like a lot of people, they're going through really, really difficult times, and they're coming even like more difficult times. But I think you're right. Like trying to find positives. If like collective way, I think it's been. I think it's gonna be a wake up call for a lot of stuff. We're realizing how important are the relationships, how important are like our friends. That contact, daily contact with people. But after me personally, for example, what I can say is, I got retired last year, and a week later I went to my coaching badges for 2 weeks, came back straight to the preseason, and I didn't have time to self-reflect about, like 20 years of career and how things have been changing. And I had that time. Now I had, as we were talking earlier, spending time with family. My children, they loving it. It's my wife maybe not, but my children, they're loving it. But yeah, it's been trying to always to find positives.
You mentioned looking back at your career. Now you've had a bit more of a chance to reflect. Do you still feel hanging up the boots is the right decision?
More than ever. I've been really lucky to, to take, that decision at that time. It wasn't an easy decision because always, like to say like, this is it, it's not an easy decision. But I'm really happy to have done it. And I think it was the right time, the right place, and yeah, you know what I mean. It's that's why, you know, I feel really like peace inside, you know what I mean, and I feel really good.
And Crofty, if you could find a positive in this kind of situation, what would your one be? Would it be those calls you were making, maybe?
That'd definitely be up there. I'd echo what Bruno said. I think we're both in similar situations where both stopped playing first team football at the same time and then went straight into something. Mine was a little bit different because I'd signed for Yeovil, so I was still going to be playing first team football, being not the level that I wanted to be at. But that only lasted 3 days because obviously the call from Brighton comes. So I think that's got to be the shortest contract that I've signed. Little 3 days. But they were great with it, to be fair. And then obviously, it was just a bit of a whirlwind few weeks. And then, to have this time to really sort of sit back, spend a lot more time, as Bruno said, both got two young kids that we love spending a lot of time with. And as a player, you're travelling all the time. My last 3 years of my career, I was up and down the motorway a lot. So I've really sort of had it hard on that side with seeing the kids sort of 2-3 times a week, which for a normal dad that ain't normal. But it's what you love doing, so you get on with it. So to spend a lot more time with the kids, and that's another great reason for being back at Brighton. I see them a lot more anyway, but you're still preparing all the time. I'd stay down in Brighton every now and then. So really spending some quality time with the kids has been brilliant. Speaking to the elderly supporters has been superb. Sort of really relives my growing up, if you like. If my youth, speaking to my grandparents all the time, it just triggers something there. And like I said, I love that generation of people. And just like I said, that bond with the club and the community, I just think it shows how strong that is and how much the club go above and beyond in doing stuff with what they're doing at the stadium, with what the lads are doing for different charities and things like that. It's just fantastic in tough times when people come together. It's a real powerful thing. And like Bruno said, my heart goes out to so many families and people that are suffering. And it don't bear thinking about, but just keeping positive, knowing that everyone's pulling in the same direction is probably been my favourite part.
And before we go to questions, are you two now finally, probably for the first time in I don't know how many years, experiencing the Monday to Friday work pattern and having an actual weekend? Do you finally know what the Friday feeling is, or are you working all weekend still?
It's 24 hours, you know, like it's 24/7. That's 24/7, to be honest. But as I said before, and Crofty is the same. You know, we had an amazing Zoom call, Crofty and myself, for almost 2 hours, like 3 or 4 days ago. And it's you know what I mean. It's when it's a passion, when it's you have why you doing it. It's so easy every day, you know, to wake up and just speak about football, and it doesn't matter if it's, especially in the lockdown, that you don't know if it's Monday, Friday, or you don't know even what day is it. You know what I mean? It's crazy, but yeah, working weekends as well. Yeah.
Hi, it's a question to both of you, really. I wondered, who would you say was the best player that you played with and that you played against, and what made them the best?
Go on, Bruno, I'll let you start, mate.
Playing at Brighton, you mean?
Anywhere. Obviously, you were in Spain as well.
Yeah. I would say for Brighton, I would say, and Crofty will be maybe agree with myself, Vicente, for me, even that he was really unlucky with the injuries, but I think he was skills-wise the best player we had here, and in Spain he was as well one of the best. I've been lucky to play, for example, I don't know, with David Villa, Silva, and they've been outstanding. I'm playing against 100% Messi. Messi has been a nightmare every time that I play against him. Like, you don't want to play against him.
Thank you.
Two top players there, mate. For me, but Brighton, Andy, I'd probably echo Bruno. Vicente was a special talent that we probably didn't get to see as much as we would like. He was coming to the back end of his career, but I remember when I re-signed in training and games, he was a magician. Could do what he wanted with the ball, and a real top lad as well. Bruno's got to come into it as me. I know he's sitting there, but not many right backs that have. When Bruno first come to the club, I think I realised what passion he had, but the bit more of a culture than the normal right backs that I'd played with before. Sort of a different way of seeing. I'd mainly played with British players, so when we started bringing in some continental players at Brighton, it showed me sort of how good Bruno was as a right back. Still had that passion and that intensity that British players have, but had that bit more culture. Players playing with at Wales, I'd say Gareth Bale, obviously world-class talent. Lucky enough to play with him for a good few years with under 21 and senior level. And to see him from when he was first with the 21s to where he's at now, you could always see it. His athleticism, the stuff that he could do with the ball, left foot, right foot, header. He just had everything. Playing against probably Yaya Toure for me when I was at Norwich and played against Man City at the Etihad. We got tonked 5-1, and he gave me a run around. I remember thinking, Bruno, you probably played against right. He was just at the first 5 minutes, Andy. He was just jogging, just proper light, and I'm thinking, this geezer can't move. And then all of a sudden, I remember a ball coming, getting cleared out. I had a picture of I'm going to chest it and play it to the right back. And as I'm about to chest it, his big long leg has just poked it away from me, and he just went like a steam train. And I'm turning, running back after him, and I was nowhere near him. And he ran the show that game. I'd probably have to say that, Andy.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Right, mate.
Yeah, a question for both of you, really. First of all, I was lucky enough to meet you, Bruno, at an event a few years ago. It was in the season we just missed out on promotion, so 15, 16, wasn't it? And at the time, you said when your career came to an end, you were probably not sure what you were going to do, but you were thinking you'd probably get back to Spain. As it turns out, obviously, you stayed with the Albion. Is there a special hook, do you think? Is there something that seems to keep people here? Because obviously you and Crofty, I'll get your opinion as well if I may on this. Other people like Guy Butters, Danny Cullip, Bobby Moore, various others we could mention, have all stuck around in some capacity at some point. What's the hook?
Now, of course, I mean it's not just one thing. I think that and Crofty will say the same. I think me, I'm living down here, and my family, myself, we are really happy. It's a great city to live. But after as well, the club, I think they trying to keep those players. They understood the philosophy, the values of the club, and at the end of the day, what you're looking for as a human being is to feel that you belong to a place, and you feel safe here. And I think it's and we've got a matter as well. We've got a purpose. Then I think because everything that goes together, it's that's the hook. That's why it keeps you here, and yeah, it's just like enjoying the time here.
Excellent. And Crofty, same for you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Ross. How you doing, mate? Echo what Bruno said there. The connection that we've both got with the club has been a two-way relationship, and I think that's the most important. I think everyone will know, hopefully, professionalism and attitude towards the club. We wanted to give everything that we had every time that we put the shirt on, and you get that instant connection. I think players that do that will bond with clubs naturally, but then just the relationships that you build with all the staff and players can obviously often change, but I think there's always been a core staff and player where you just build them relationships, and for me personally, I had some great times, but towards the end I had a couple of tough years with a couple of bad injuries, and the way the club treated me in them tough times was special to me, and it will never leave me. So it's all right when I was going through playing really well, scoring good goals and performing well on the pitch, and as soon as that stopped and I was going through some tough times, the way the club treated me was really, really good. And and it showed me how loyal they were to me, and I'd like to think I've always been loyal to them. So I just had that instant connection through going through good and bad. And like I said, we understand the values of the club, and we really want to live them values and ingrain that into, for instance, myself into new young players. And Bruno obviously has been a top player for a long time. And the first team players know that, so they gravitate to someone who's always in and around them, and they'll love having him about. And hopefully, by having good people that know the blueprint of what Brighton Football Club means to them, I think we're seeing that more now. And I think the club's been really diligent with keeping that blueprint of players and ex-players that really have got that connection with the club.
I think we certainly do things the right way, and it's great to hear that from the inside that's what you guys think as well. And long may it continue. I think it's just happy days, isn't it?
Bruno, lovely to speak to you. Watching you and Noki playing together week after week, you seem to form a very successful and creative partnership over on the right. How did that relationship come about? Was it just a natural thing, or did you guys have to work at it on the training ground? Because it certainly was magic to watch week after week.
Thank you for the question. I think it was a natural thing. I think we understood so well off the pitch as well, but on the pitch it was, our game, it was really complementary. Like we worked so well together, and even like that non-verbal communication. Like I knew I was looking to the other side of the pitch, and I knew where Knocker was. And he knew where I was, if I was overlapping or. Underlapping, or I think it was a great connection. I really enjoyed the time playing with him, and to be honest, I'm off the pitch missing him because he's a really funny guy and a great character.
Yeah, we all miss him. Yeah, it was brilliant to watch, and I thank the pair of you. It was wonderful.
Well, question I wanted to ask you two gentlemen, because the last time I saw a game where Brighton were playing was in 1984 at the Goldstone, so it's been some time.
Wow.
But I was just wondering from my own, because it's still just about passion from me and the history and living the town, walking down Old Shoreham Road to see the game. Is there any, when we get new signings, new people join the club, does anybody actually take the time to explain to them about the history of the club, the social history, the actual games, the crowds, the antagonism? I mean, does anybody put the passion into some kind of context for new players?
That's a really good question. Crofty, you want to go? Or?
Yeah, no, cool. Yeah. Mark, how you doing, mate? Nice to meet you.
Very well, mate.
Perfect timing, because we had an academy meeting the other about 2 weeks ago, and we was talking about new ways of bringing new traditions and celebrating history. More to do with when a young player comes to the club, and it really hit home to sort of say that we need to really push what our history has been, because it's powerful. I don't think there'd be I can't think of many teams that are in the Premier League now or have been where we've come from. And I think really pushing that to, say, for instance, young players signing, even when they come in at 9, we were talking about doing certain things as they go up in different age groups, where they can understand where the club's been and where it is now. And as a player who played at the Withdean and the Amex, I think it's a really powerful thing that the club can use to their benefit. As far as the first team side goes, when I first come, it was because, like I said, because I had the journey from going to Withdean and the Amex. I felt that. Bruno probably can touch on it more now when new players sign in the next couple of years. The last couple of years, I don't know whether there probably is something. And again, touching on having ex-players that have been where they have been and still at the club. That's, I think, where that connection comes, and players that have played, for instance, Bruno, myself, Steve Sidwell, that have been at the club a long time, can relay them that history. And I think that's what, like I said, that blueprint of ex-players that have played at the club and been at Goldstein and Withdean and seen where the club's been. I think that's where that connection comes.
Yeah, I'm completely agree with Crofty, and I think it's really important. But at the same time, I think it's really difficult because it is because in the, as you know, like the world that we live in, everything goes so fast, and to be honest, to one of our aims, Crofty, myself, to make to understand it's not just history as well. It's the careers, they go so fast,
Yes.
and how you make to understand to the young player that they see that's they don't see the end. And when we were 18, 19, we didn't see neither. But how you make to understand that, how you make to understand the importance of the culture of a club. Crofty and me, we've been at the university, changing in a 3-4 like spaces, changing rooms, like really small, getting a shower through a corridor, like that corridor was like maybe -6 degrees. It was incredible, and now we've got one of the best facilities in Europe. You know what I mean? Like how you to make them understand to those young players and to that generation that they've got everything, and it's to give, like, to make them understand the value of what they've got. And like, because a lot of people, I remember like the day that we got promoted, and after we had the party, and I had, I had to speak. And one of the things I said, I was really thankful, like, to players like Crofty, Gordon Greer, Calderon, that they fought so hard. They were fighting for so long to achieve that, and we achieved what we achieved because of them as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's and how we make to understand that it's really important. That's what Academy Crofty, for example, they're trying with young players, and us in the first team, players that they come, try to help them to understand. But it takes time.
I think the important thing there is too we see the Man United, the Liverpools, they've got their history, but their history is of money and trophies. Ours, Brighton, is a history of struggle, nearly being there, character, resilience, professionalism, and taking the chance when you get it.
Exactly. That's exactly. But trophies, you can see them. The struggles, it's really difficult to see from outside. Until you get here and you get, and I'm gonna be honest, until I was here for a couple of years, I didn't understood, like, of course, the language first, but but after, history, it's about time. It's about talking to people. It's about feeling, and that takes a period of time. And now we're seeing how quick they change in the squads. Players, they go in out, yes. and to have that feeling of like being that you belong a place, it takes longer than that.
Hi gents, thanks for your time this evening.
Thank you.
So you both just retired. What's been? Have you struggled with retirement? Just going into retirement, is there anything you struggled with, or have you found it? Is there anything you found hard about going into retirement, missing playing at all?
I proper retired. Crofty still playing. A little bit with under 23s and still. But for me, it's been. I'm really happy, like, about my transition. To be honest, I think because of a stage of my career in terms of age. I got retired almost 39. Then it's like you cannot go longer. It's really difficult to go further than that. And I think because at that age, you're really mature and you can, like, analyze everything at the right way. And I think you try to give or keep the emotions a little bit outside and analyze the things properly. It's been really good, and as well, it helped me massively to get in, like, straight away to coaching. Because you keep your routines of going to a training ground, talking to people, keep involved in football. I think my transition, I'm really, really happy and really lucky to have it that way.
Bruno, how old are you now, mate?
I'm 39, almost 40. In October, 40.
I thought you was younger than that, mate. You're...
Thank you. Love you too.
Good. Yeah, Tom, mate. For me, similar. Like Bruno said, I've still got my boots on a little bit. My role's a little bit unique as with the 23s because I'm still registered as an overage player. So my role, I'll train one day, normally coach one day, train one day, coach one day with the 23s. So it's been brilliant. I still get the buzz of running around on the pitch and hopefully giving the young players that little bit of nous, a little bit of experience. Don't know whether that's making me feel younger or older, to be honest, because they're all rapid. I ain't quick anymore. I'm still fairly fit, but I've definitely lost a yard. And when we're doing our sprints, and
you're quicker here. You're quicker than them here.
Yeah, exactly. But it's been like I touched on earlier in the Q&A. I signed for Yeovil for 3 days. And then the opportunity come back, and it took about 2 weeks for it to get sorted. And in that 2 week period, I was like a big kid because I knew I was coming back to Brighton. And I remember the morning where I drove back to obviously come back and start with the 23s, and I was just buzzing. I was excited, just because, like we spoke before, the connection that I've got with the club, and knowing that I was coming back to the club in this role, and I knew that I wanted to coach. It's something that I've been thinking about for a good few years. So yeah, there was no disappointment as far as hanging the first team boots up because I was just so excited to come back to the club. Do I miss playing first team football? A little bit, yeah. There's times when you see things on telly or see moments, or you relive memories and you buzz off them, but they'll be with you forever. And now both mine and Bruno's passion is coaching and working with players and developing players, and Bruno's obviously with the first team, so putting things in place where you go and see that come to life on a match day is our buzz now. And Bruno's probably the same. I'm lying in bed now thinking about what session can I do next? Like, how can I make the 23 boys better? What can I do to help them have a good career? So there's been no sort of lows or disappointments. It's just been more excitement, and I think both of us probably the timings were right. I think if you'd asked other players or they'd finished playing a little bit earlier, sometimes the timing ain't right, but I think for both of us the timing felt right, and I think that's probably key for when you're making that transition.
You can see a little bit of paraphernalia there, how passionate we are. Nice. down in Sydney. Crofty, just thank you first of all. You said about creating memories for yourself. Just want to let you know that both of you have created memories for all of us as well, and we thank you for that. Thank you for the contribution and continued contribution to the club. You are both great guys. Buenos días, el capitán.
Buenos días. Thank you.
¿Cómo está?
Muy bien. Good Spanish.
Poco. Bruno, when you say your name, all we can do is sing your name. We know that many years there's been great leaders of the club over and over again, which have left many memories, great memories of great people. And we lost one just only this week as well to Robbo.
Yeah.
And just God bless him and his family and those. People have been touched by great leaders in the club. Bruno, you are that one. You're one and I know that you are a very humble guy. And I know that following you on some of the social and reading reports from other players after you left under your leadership, that they said there's no one else like you, that you have a servant leadership. And I think that, first of all, is that you're not just making a difference in football, but you're making a difference in people, in society, in friends. So I want to say I honour you for that as a man that you are, but I want to know, where does that passion, where does that servant leadership, where does that come from? Where did that come from within you?
Well, first of all, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate a lot that, because it means, it means a lot to me. Of course, always us as a players is good when they talk well, when you're playing like good football. But for me, to be a good person, a good human being, it's really important. And I think leadership is when you care about people. For me, that's what's really important. And inside the changing room, when you sit down in a changing room and and you care about the player who is next to you and the player who is next to you on the right side. I mean, that's leadership. And that's what I've been trying. For me, that's what has been my journey. When I came here, I came from another country. I didn't speak any English. I tried to adapt myself to the culture, learn the language. I had so many funny stories about language, with family. It's been amazing. But I've been trying to care about people, you know what I mean? And I've been really lucky that we had such a good people in the changing rooms like Crofty, you know what I mean? That helped me a lot as well. And you know, as I said, is leadership is about caring and about teammates, club, you know, respecting, and that's how I understand leadership.
Just a more of a personal question, really. Bearing in mind that football is 24/7 and families can be, what do you like to do to escape so that you can get some me time, as they call it? I like to listen to music or potter around in the garage, which is where I am now, and that escapes the good lady for a few minutes. So how do you maintain your well-being within your head?
Yes, Crofty.
Morning, Patrick. Good question, mate. Yeah, I don't find it hard because I don't really feel sometimes that I need a lot of me time, if that makes sense. I think you're spot on when you say football's 24/7 and family's 24/7. Touching on it earlier, got 2 young kids. So when I'm back from the club, from work, it's mainly taken up of either playing more football with my boy or doing taking me girl dancing or gymnastics and stuff like that. Me and the missus social life's probably zero for the last few years, just because they're at them ages where they're all us, if you know what I mean. Now and again, go out for meals at the weekend. When they go to bed, it's probably that hour when the kids go to bed, and that hour, 2 hours of just chilling then. But even when you're chilling then, you're thinking about what you've done in your session earlier on in the day. So it is finding that balance. I think it's really important that it don't consume you too much. I've learned, I don't know about Bruno, but I've learned that from the time that I started coaching at the start of the season till now. I've really learned to experience about not letting it consume you too much. And enjoying it. So when you're first into something, it's tough. I think the first initial process of when you're a player, it's your debut, when you first sign for a club, getting to know people, that first bit of something new to you is always the most difficult, but then you learn quick. And I've learned that I'm absolutely loving, but I don't need to let it consume me and consume me in a bad way. So I'm thinking getting the balance of work life and stuff like that's really important. But as far as having time on my own, I don't feel like I'm a person that needs too much of that. I like to stay busy and spend that time either playing with the kids or having an hour downtime before going to bed.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's exactly that. You know, I think it's really important to have good habits, and it's, you know, I mean, us as a footballers, is about that, you know, lifestyle, and it's how you live, is how you play. And that's what we've been doing for a long time. But for us, to be honest, I think, as Crofty said, it's family. You know, family is the way that we, you know, I mean, enjoying the time with the kids. It's my, you know, my passion.
Hi, it's Kevin. I'm live in Cranley, member of the Northwest Sussex Seagulls. It's a very simple question. I have a favourite memory of both of you. Bruno, it was that volley, I think it was against Burnley, that absolutely ripped the net at the Amex, and Crofty, it was Gus's first game, and that goal at Southampton that I enjoyed down the pub with all my mates who are not Brighton fans. So it's a simple question. What is your favourite moment in an Albion shirt?
For me, it's like that. Definitely, like for Crofty and myself, it's gonna be difficult to pick just one because we're lucky enough that there are so many. But I don't know. I know why, but it's for me. It was the Manchester United home, the first season in the Premier League when we won the game and we stay up. You know, I think is my. I don't know why. I've got a special feeling for that day. And of course, when we got promoted, you know, after like so many playoffs. was a really special day. But because maybe it was like we were seeing that happening, you know, at some point, like getting promoted because we were fighting for that. But Premier League, you know, to achieve to stay up in the Premier League, beating Manchester United at home, last home game, you know, of the season, that was, you know, I mean, really special. But yeah, as I said, really lucky to have great moments, like as I said, and my last game as well, it was really special.
Aye, mate. Yeah, echo again what Bruno said. There are loads of good memories, but if I'm just thinking quick now, definitely the Southampton goal and game. Muzza got the 2 previous. It was Gus's first game. Gus gave me the armband that game. So to play that game, to beat them 3-1, and scored just before the 90 minutes was over, and run over to you guys in the corner and go mental was some feeling. And then my other one's probably a little bit of a strange one. Is it probably a pre-season game where it was my first game with Bruno. I literally just saw Brighton re-signed me that year. So I had a year in the Prem with Norwich, and then come back to Brighton when we were starting. They'd had a season in the Champ, and then Bruno signed, I signed, Bridgie signed, Thomas Kuzak signed, a couple of others signed. And I remember I was driving up the motorway, buzzing to sign the contract to come back, and obviously to see the new stadium, etc. And then we played Chelsea in a pre-season friendly, and that was my first game back. We beat them. Yeah, beat them 3-1. I scored the 3rd goal, and then all the lads. It was one of the sort of meetings together. All new players, their missus go out for a nice meal together. And I remember my missus weren't there at the time because she was still in Norwich with my 2 kids and just sorting out moving back, etc. And I remember walking down after the meal out with the boys and their girlfriends and wives, walking back up the seafront. Just beat Chelsea 3-1, scored a winner, albeit in a pre-season friendly. Just signed a new deal back at Brighton. I remember walking back down the night, looking down at the sea, going back to the hotel and thinking, yes, like I am so happy to be back here. I've seen what the squad looks like. I'm back at Brighton, long time, family's coming home, and it was just a unique feeling that will stay with me for a long time.
Nice.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi, Bruno. Hi, Crofty. Very, very nice to see you and be able to have the opportunity to have a chat. And also I'd like to kind of put my kind of thanks, like everybody else has, to you both for all the efforts that you've done and the achievement that you've achieved, both on and off the pitch with the Albion, and within the community. It has been fantastic. So I wish you all the very best for the future.
Thank you so much.
What I'd like to say was that watching the Albion, certainly in the last few years in the Premier League, they have really played well and done incredibly well to stay where they are, and under Graham Potter as well. I think it's probably fair to say that we haven't really found it very easy to score goals. And therefore I'd like to kind of ask you both the question, in as much that Crofty with the under-23s, the question being that if there are any others coming through. Aaron Connolly has come through and is doing very well, but he's very young. And we haven't had many strikers at the moment with kind of Premier League experience. What would your thoughts be if somebody like Bobby Zamora, who's already kind of expressed his wish or would love to kind of be involved, and we've also got Glenn Murray waiting in the wings possibly for when the time comes there. Do you think there's a role for either of those two? Would it help if they could give some help to the strikers who haven't really had the experience in the Premier League? Crofty?
Yeah.
Question, mate. Really good question. Obviously, I know both lads really well. Both good mates, and like I said, both top strikers for the Albion and in their careers. And would it help having them 2 players coaching young strikers or even first team strikers? Yeah, like of course, it would only benefit anyone who's going to work with them boys. Obviously, that's it's not down to me whether there's an opportunity to do that or in the future if Muzza wanted to do that once he's going to hang his first team boots up, because I still think there's plenty of life in Muzza. I think everyone can see that's but when he crosses it, obviously with the Bobby one, I know his connection with the club, and he is just a top guy. He's done a few bits with me with the 23s. Like we had a Zoom meeting the other day, a Q&A with Bobby where the boys could ask him questions and pick his brains on advice on sort of what his career looked like, how he got to where he got to. So we're doing little bits like that at the moment with the 23s, and we were planning for Bobby to come in and do a few bits with them. So obviously with a certain situation that can't happen for a little while until it's safe to do so. Hopefully we can look at doing that, because I know he's keen to help the club in any way possible. Whether he wanted to actually become a coach, I don't know. But I know there's in my career I've seen sort of where top strikers have just come in for a day every now and then just to go and work with the strikers, and I think that's a really healthy thing to do, because any striker that's had a good career is going to have that now. It's going to have that instinct of where the ball's going to land, what certain runs to do, their relationship with their wide man fullbacks. And Bruno will obviously touch on that as well, being a fullback, where the ball's going to go, where he's going to look into crosser. There's all different avenues to get the best out of the strikers. And we're lucky, 23s have got some good ones coming through. We've scored quite a few goals in the season that we was planning. So hopefully, in the near future, we'll hopefully be pushing some ones up into the first team, hopefully being the next Darren Connolly.
No, yeah. I think it's a really good question, and I think football is going, as Crofty said, football I think is going that way. It's like the NFL. If you follow NFL, I mean they've got coaches almost by units, and I think it's really important. And I think football is going to get to that point. But it's a process where we are right now. For example, us in the first team, we're working a lot on that, but I think us as a first team with a new philosophy, we've been trying to build up the game from the back to the last third, and now maybe that's where we have to improve, as you said. I think in the league, I think we are 5th or 6th in entries last third in Premier League. That's you know what I mean, that's an amazing stat. The same with possession and passes, but it's the last bit that we need to improve, and that's what we're working on that right now.
Thanks so much for connecting with us today.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate sort of you spending the time. And look, we're the other side of the world. We don't get the opportunity to see games very often, in person. But luckily, the football service we've got on the TV here, we can sort of watch them all live. So that's great. Question I've got is for both of you. Interested in your management aspirations, and really keen to sort of see you sort of leading the Albion at some stage in the future. Can you tell us a little bit about what your aspirations are, and also if you were the Albion manager, who would you role model yourselves
on? I can go first if you want, Crofty. For me, I mean, what I'm trying right now is just like learning and trying to help Graham, and their staff as much as possible. I think to take the decision of being a manager is a big decision, not just for myself, for my family, because it's a great job, because it's my passion, but it's a big sacrifice again for family-wise. Then it has to be a decision like really, really like thinking a lot. But after, like, in terms of style, I think I'm really lucky to have or had an amazing managers, and I've been learning like different things from all of them. At the same time, what not to do as well. That's one of the things that you learn as well. But yeah, I will. If I'm one day I'm going to be manager, of course I'm going to try to be myself. And show that passion to the players, because I think that the passion at the end of the day is you give that energy to the players.
Yeah, brilliant, Bruno. I'm the same. I want to be a fit at the moment. Look, in football change happens so much. It's hard to say what you want to be and when you want to be that. I think at this moment in time, I'm loving my new role. I love coaching, and I would love to be a coach for a long time. when I say long time, I don't know what that means in football, because an opportunity might come up where you have to take it, or you think, no, it's not right. But in my mind at the moment, I want to learn as much as I can. I think to become an expert in something, me and Bruno were first team players for a long, long time. I won't call myself an expert, but you become very experienced in what you do. And now we're new into coaching. So I think until you've got that experience behind you and you can say you become an expert, then you look maybe for the next thing. But in 2-3 years, you might think, actually, I'm ready to do something now as far as management comes. Or in 10-15 years' time, it might come. So I think it's just learning all the time. Really important to be yourself, as Bruno said. Learn from all the managers that you've worked under, but to be yourself, for me, is the most important thing. And I think that advice has come pretty early on in my career, coaching career. Same with Bruno. We was chatting the other day, and I think it's really important that you be yourself. And keep evolving, keep learning, and enjoy the ride, enjoy the process.
Yeah. A little question, a bit of a silly question. With international travel being as difficult as it is right now, for obvious reasons, it was quite interesting earlier in the season to see a tournament being advertised over here in Australia, being played in Brisbane during what was meant to be the closed season in the UK, between West Ham, Crystal Palace, and Brisbane Lions. I just wonder if you might be able to encourage Mr. Bloom to perhaps bring you guys down here for a pre-season tour one day.
Yeah, of course. Like, let us speak to him and try to get that sorted. Of course, we would love it, to be honest. I think it would be an amazing experience, and we know that there are so many fans there. And just like, I think it's been always around there, you know what I mean, like talking about it, but never has been done. But 100% sure that one day that's going to happen.
Be brilliant. We'd love that.
I just wanted to ask if you're able to say anything about hopes and aspirations for the women's team. Obviously, the sort of women's sport over here in Australia is pretty big, and the Matildas, the women's football team, is also massive. It was big news when Sam Kerr went over to play for Chelsea. Being a lifelong fan and someone who had to stop playing football quite young because there weren't any teams, it's great to see the club investing in the women's team. It might not be something that you're really connected to, but I just wondered if you're able to say anything about what the sort of aspirations for that team are.
Yeah. I think that's it's a process. I think we've been seeing the how big is been getting the football, you know, the women team. You know what I mean? How football has been growing is amazing. And I think it's just a process where we are, and we have to keep supporting. And for example, I don't know if you know that in our training ground we're building is the women, they're going to have their own building. They're going to have, you know, amazing facilities. And as I said, you know, it's just like it's evolving, and I think it's really important. And all of us, we support it, of course.
Yeah, morning, Catherine. How you doing? Hope you're well. Yeah, brilliant. Great to see how much progress has been made in the women's game, and hopefully over the years that just keeps getting better and better and stronger and stronger. And as Bruno said, I know the club's really supportive of what they want to do with the women's side. And coming back to the club and seeing their plans, and obviously seeing the new building that's going up for them, just shows you what direction they want to go with that. So I'm really excited to see what that looks like in the next year or two, because it's improving all the time and exciting for women's football.